near rocket launcher. Most champions aren't able to, I think, sacrifice the time it takes to go down there and check for totems. Strog can, because he's got that crouch slide that lets him zip all the way around there, and he's wasted almost no time at all to do it. So there's an opportunity here that psygib's going to be able to check those totems for his sake. I hope he can. And we now start things off here on the corrupted keep. Av3k, nice little bit of optimization already, dropping that totem down, knowing there's hourglasses up top and a mega that will shave off recovery time. Cooldown to the totem. We have a pretty solid start to begin with. psygib aggressive with the super shotgun, but he needs to be careful. Av3k with a rocket in hand, and the fact that he's now got another totem already. Thankfully, one of those totems was cleared out, though. psygib already on the case.
Neither player yet committing to a full fight, but oh my god, psygib with the homing rocket. Av3k dropping down, hoping to do at least a bit of damage before leaving the heavy to his opponent, and then the rocket out of absolutely nowhere straight to the face, taking him down. At least he gets mega off the spawn, but he doesn't have many weapons to work with. No heavy machine gun, no rockets. Does manage to escape and makes his way over towards the heavy, and there we go. That was sick. First rocket sends him through the belly, and then the second one to finish it off.
Av3k looking to get the heavy just in case. Unfortunately, is he going to be able to heal from this? Yeah, just in time. psygib does have a mega. Doesn't have a lot of weapons to do damage here. There is a machine gun, but Av3k already looking to try and create a bit more of that range challenge. Doesn't really matter though, because now the next item spawning here, likely to be the heavy, but oh my good lord, Av3k just peppering out that machine gun damage. That first rocket that by all means should have landed. This has been a bit of a fumble. Av3k somehow hitting no damage. That was a very surprising fight.
He had random numbers. Figured that it was safe to drop, and indeed, I'm inclined to agree with him, but the rockets just didn't connect. psygib, slippery as a snake, avoiding all damage. And Av3k eats some himself.
It's one of those awkward situations, isn't it, where by all means, like, that was a good time to go in, but sometimes the shots just don't land, and it's as simple as that.
Now mega spawns, psygib secures it, but Av3k, beautiful man, beautiful LG from above. Tracking sublime to put himself back in the lead. psygib still pushing in aggressively. This might be a misplay if Av3k can keep track of him. I think psygib probably assumed that Av3k was already leaving the room on the other side, but the Polish player was still lingering around, ready to dish out some damage in return. And now Av3k looks like he's getting a rotation setup. Heavy first, mega 5 seconds later. First set of control we're really seeing this matchup.
Another totem will be dropping down just in case Av3k needs it. But I'm liking this rotation so far. As long as he keeps a solid ground over the mega as well, psygib isn't even going to be able to sit around and take out one of those totems. Because realistically, he has no reason to be there if there's no mega. So there's not going to be any means for him to see a totem and take it out. But now, Av3k, if he can get one more totem on deck, which even now psygib still cannot focus on the totem that's right next to him because there's a rocket happy Galena just waiting to finish the job. And we're about to get that mega in the back pocket like you talked about. The third totem is ready to be dropped. psygib, oh my lord, a bad spawn and a half, and there it is. The overstack begins.
Av3k's control has just been so severe that psygib hasn't even gotten to do 100 points of damage with the LG, just because Av3k has been denying that part of the map severely so. And then the rockets to the face. Hello, Av3k. He knows that his opponent is hurting badly right now, pushes him into the totem, gets yet another frag. The Polish prince is picking on steam. psygib has to slow the pace down, but what can he do? He just keeps coming around these corners, and Av3k is waiting, dealing tremendous amounts of damage.
psygib trying to take the totem out, but seemingly struggling to do it. And this has been there's been a real art of the aggressive Galena. These rockets are disgusting. Looks for a second one that can't quite hit its mark, but at this point, psygib is so weak, he cannot make his presence known near the heavy, so yet another major item goes to the Polish lad. This is difficult for psygib so far. I mean, the art of the aggressive Galena, how Av3k is flying around this entire map, making sure that psygib has no room to maneuver, yet somehow able to get 3 totems locked in without hiding them in these tiny little awkward places. It's an impressive showing.
Av3k now 15 major items to his name. psygib barely getting 4, make that 5. That just shows how after a tumultuous opening minutes, Av3k has now established some consistent dominance of the map. Just not giving his opponent any way in, it seems. Setting up for Mega already. psygib taking this fight, but just look, the totem is up right there. Mega is about to spawn. Av3k, do you even want to drop, or are you just going to resort to the LG? Looks like he has to give up the item, unable to really do all that much damage. And this is an opportunity for psygib, the first one he's had in a while. Can he clean up the frag? He's still lacking a lot of the weapons, but the shotgun at the exit is going to make quick work of Av3k.
In a bit of a tricky position right now. Can't really take too much more of this heavy machine gun that's peppering out. psygib takes the Mega. The important thing, though, is taking it away from Av3k. And Av3k's stuck in a horrific position. Yet, actually, I can only assume, Flea, that psygib didn't realize just how at death's door Av3k was there. Because taking him with no health at all and backing off to take heavy, I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah, indeed.
He's got away.
He has, he has.
Whoa! Oh! He got away past tense.
He's got temporary respite, but death came for him no matter what. That said, though, yes, psygib getting some frags, but he's 7 points down. There's not all that much time left. Now, it is still possible. There is still time. This is a map where the snowball is extremely possible. But he's got to kick it off sooner rather than later. And that's a good start. Shotgun frag. Eagerly waiting for the small armor to spawn as well. And now it actually seems as if psygib has got a nice rotation going of his own. Mega first, heavy in 5 seconds. Can he get to it in time? Looks like he won't be able to, and Av3k will steal away the major item.
Once more, Av3k just having such control over the center part of the map, and psygib, although he's got that maneuverability, nothing that can really help him out too much. Because again, 2 seconds away, Mega's gonna spawn, but that Mega, there's a reason Av3k has no interest in taking it. Let psygib take it. Let's just get the 300 damage rocket. If I play my cards right, I'll nullify the Mega in basically 1 shot. And then it should be easy pickings, of which it was. Av3k has been 1 step ahead this entire series, Flea. Every time psygib makes some kind of play, takes an item, most of the time, it's what Av3k is completely content with happening.
Av3k absolutely has been the one to dictate the pace of this game.
Deletion.
Closing the gap once more, yeah. psygib zoomed in with the heavy machine gun, but just couldn't put out the damage. And Av3k consistently hitting with the LG. Works wonders for him. And as you said, it is the man from Poland who's been in control. Pretty much after the first 3 minutes, I want to say, is when it started going in Av3k's favor, at least clearly so. And there's been some signs of life in psygib, some bursts of brilliance, lots of good fights and engagements here and there, but it just hasn't been enough to break the chokehold that Av3k has had on the map.
It's just so much frags to make this comeback, and even though it is corrupted keep, quite frankly, no time to get it done. Will try and stick around on these items to prevent Av3k from being even more stacked than he already is, but this is going to be a done deal. And I'm a bit nervous for psygib though, Flea, because of all 3 maps, you would definitely say, I think, that this is the map that he had the greatest chance of taking, and 10 frags in the lead for Av3k. I mean, if that doesn't say it all about the absolute momentum that Av3k is working with going into this finals, and especially against psygib off the back of psygib's kind of elimination potential, it's a very fitting way to start, if you ask me.
Looking at the damage, 5.3k for Av3k versus 4.2 for psygib. Pretty convincing lead there as well. Same goes for the item pickups, although it is a bit closer. Av3k still around 5 more items picked up than his opponents. Good use of the heavy nail gun. Of course, he knows that it's over and done. One of the highest DPS weapons in the game, Ketchup. can't ever count it out. So difficult to hit when your opponent throws himself at you rather than it does make it a lot easier.
Even easier when deploying anti-personnel drone stuck in place, and the damage just keeps coming out guaranteed. Another bonus frag just to make it the 20 bomb. And for good measure, Av3k will be taking this first map with flying colors. A very easy exchange, it seems. A bit more competitive again at the very beginning, but snowball effect of Corrupted Keep. We've seen this hundreds of times. This was no exception. And over the side of Av3k, who with that final frag was able to break the 6,000 damage barrier. So a good map for him.
Absolutely, congratulations Av3k, but the work is far from done because the next map is going to prove to be quite a challenge as well, right? Av3k is running the Nyx, squishy champion, not a lot of stack, difficult to hit though, but still a very little resources to work with, whereas on the other hand, psygib is running Sorlik, who's not only very fast and mobile, but who has a tremendous stack of the spawn. So Av3k, using that Ghost Walk effectively is going to be key. He has to be early on time, not wait until he's near death to pop that ability, because that's a commonly made mistake. Av3k looking extremely sharp, the damage is on point, but now he has to make up for it because of the stack disadvantage that he's at.
And just looking at all these different replays, there's going to be too many frags to count with how many we saw on that map. But a huge part of it, Av3k happy to fight when called upon, I guess, but at the same time, I loved his management of the totems, just keeping himself afloat where it reached a point where it looked very hard to get the read on how much stack Av3k actually had. And if we disengage and he's got these totems everywhere, there was a point where psygib had a totem right in front of his face and he still couldn't go for it because Av3k is all over him. Just a overwhelming performance, I think.
Now, just to be clear, first map was played on a server that favored Av3k. It was an EU server. Now we're switching things up. NA server is next, so this is psygib's server pick. But we're playing on Av3k's map choice. So Molten Falls, clearly a map that Av3k feels comfortable on, but he's got a tremendous opponent ahead of him still. And I think psygib now has to kind of rethink his approach, because whatever he was trying on map 1 clearly didn't work out.
Now, looking at the matchup alone, you always look at a heavy versus a light and you would think, right, this is going to be a bit of an uphill battle for whoever the light user is. But I'm just looking at the fact that it's Molten Falls in the hands of Av3k. There has to be confidence behind this whole situation. There has to be a strict game plan, and Av3k, the kind of player that can stick to that game plan no matter what. He can kind of slip the net with Nyx on a map like this. It's giant, it's out in the open. Rails are incredibly important, especially when you have to kind of chunk away the stack that a heavy works with. And then the Ghost Walk. How Av3k uses that Ghost Walk, I'm very excited to see. But even though the stack doesn't favor him, I think the utility might do. Just having that Ghost Walk and the fact that clearly he's going to be kind of rail happy, I imagine. Let's see how this one goes.
Also, can't ignore the wall jump ability, right? There's a lot of utility you get from that on this map in particular. You can easily jump from nail gun all the way to shotgun, so flying across that heavy area of the map. You can also do some nice little tricks with it over at the railgun room or across or above Mega rather, so that might help him out a lot as well. Probably factored into Av3k's decision making here too.
Like a mini Doom Slayer when you think of some of that utility on these kind of maps, but looks like our warm-up again is coming to a close. The Molten Falls. In this case, we are going to have a pretty drastic difference in both champions. That Nyx, that lightweight, the Ghost Walk, and then we have Sorlag, Hunter. All about giant stack and fast movement. Exactly what psygib likes.
Starting it off on Av3k's point of view. Immediately, the stack difference becomes incredibly obvious.
And there's a reason he's got the rail out already.
Yeah.
I can see him go around that corner and I can get even a little piece of that. That we're after. psygib trying to be sneaky. They trade damage for damage, but hang on. Neither player able to hit the shots, but eventually it will be Av3k having the last laugh, and just in time. Looks like the Ghost Walk completely nullifying the damage over time as well. So a nice clean encounter for Av3k.
Good opening play for the Polish Prince, to say the least, but he always has to remain on guard. Even after getting a kill, without even giving up that much health and damage, he still picks up heavy and is outstacked by his opponent, basically off spawn after picking up just one small armor. So he always has to remain cautious about this. And he's playing such a clever game around the choke points. This is exactly what he did to get his first frag as well. Force psygib to push through one of these bad choke points on the map where he doesn't have a lot of mobility and where the rockets, the LG, the rail can be so effective on a rushing opponent.
We were at risk of history repeating itself right there.
Yeah.
Same corner, but this time psygib, no interest in pushing forward. I think he believed heavily in his own stack last time and paid the price. But now, a pretty much even split between the two items. And surely in this situation, psygib will be favoring that heavy. They go for a simple trade so far, but as long as Av3k keeps his ammo high, keeps the rail game happy, already looking to back off and set up an angle that was almost there, but psygib actually looking to try and head him off perhaps. Yeah, he is. Million miles an hour, but Av3k is ready for it. No surprises here, although psygib gave it his best attempt.
51% LG, 16% heavy nail gun, make it rain. psygib, even with that stack, cannot force himself through that, but that is an aggressive push, forcing Av3k to use the ghost wall. And I'm pretty sure psygib is going to be aware of that as he loops around and secures the mega. He knows that he has an opportunity. It's all coming down to him finding some weapons, some decent stack, and to take this fight right away.
Av3k has had the perfect read on psygib's movement every time. Even down to the last couple of frags that we saw. psygib tries to loop all the way around near heavy, maybe expecting Av3k not to be ready for it, and Av3k's already got the angle prepared with the lightning gun, and somehow wins the fight when he's horrifically outstacked as always. It's the opening rail. He is making his plays so awkward to encounter. He's round this corner where psygib, unless you have a crystal ball and you know he's going to be right there, very unlikely that Av3k's going to take damage on the way through. Hits a rail and he's already out there. And he's really setting up shop in this part of the screen.
It's because of the double doorway, the choke points. No matter what side your opponent comes from, you can just step through the doorway and hold that down meticulously. You just seal it shut and force your opponent to take so much damage when pushing through. And even if they do make it through, you've still got that ghost walk to work with and you can just disappear from the scene. So Av3k is just baiting psygib and inviting him to come push and then make the most out of his defensive position to do damage and cleanly get back out like that rocket to the face.
Oh, but a miss!
Yeah, one more will do it!
Oh, God!
He clutches the ledge, climbs up softly and doesn't give psygib another clean angle right there.
I think we all felt that one though. Well, I say both of them. Those rails so close to landing. Av3k! Reactionary ghost walk just to try and survive a little bit longer. The chase, I would say the chase is on, but psygib, wise to the games, he does not want to push too far and go into one of those classic choke points. This should be a pickup, but how much damage is Av3k able to do given the circumstances?
52% LG for Av3k, clearly helping him out tremendously so. But psygib finally putting himself on the board, comes to this map at least. LG actually helping Av3k escape out of the room right there. A little bit of a push in the back, sends him flying straight out of the doorway.
Narrowly misses that rail. That's going to be a green light for psygib to push on and make chase as he continues to push forward. 10 seconds until heavy spawns. And Av3k, the thing about all this is that while psygib is relentlessly chasing him, he's got to make sure he's keeping an eye on all those items too. I think to detour towards heavy, importantly taking it away from Av3k, who still has no armor to his name at all. But there's one rail. Needs a fair few more of those though, Flea.
Indeed he does, but rail, such a powerful tool. Nyx is difficult to hit. But of course, railgun is a hit scan weapon. The moment you catch even a pixel of your opponent, you can land a massive 90 points of damage. So often before Av3k might be able to pull that button, psygib can do a lot of damage, no matter the distance, no matter the angle. Once again, missing an important shot, he really needs to start connecting those.
I feel like 99% of us would have used Ghost Walk in that encounter as well, by the way. Avec holding onto it for dear life, but arguably holding onto it for a bit too long as the rail. I kind of almost feel like that's Avec knowing his enemy. Like psygib's rail accuracy, he has to go for these almost impossible shots, these really hard kind of drive-by rails. Against Nyx, they're so hard to land. There almost feels like there's a point where Avec just goes, like, you're not hitting these shots, so why don't I just hold onto it and see if I can get away with it?
The tides have shifted. The balance has turned, it feels like.
Ooh!
psygib tying it up with a beautiful rail. I think psygib kicking things up a notch. Biggest difference is that he's finally able to actually catch Av3k. In the first few minutes of this game, he gets close, Av3k uses the ghost walk and completely disappears, manages to restack before psygib can find him again. But that has changed in the past minute or two. And psygib forces out the ghost walk and actually tracks him just like he's doing now. This should be another frag for the American, but Av3k...
no!
Get bounced off the platform, causing psygib to miss the final rocket. And once again gets himself a frag, but he is still weak. He is tender to say the least. And psygib secures the mega straight off the bat.
3 minutes left on the clock. Av3k 20 seconds away from his ghost walk. If he gets jumped now, he's in big trouble. And psygib going all the way. And the shotgun, by all means, that's it. There's no way he's surviving fresh off that jump pad. Now Av3k, the problem is he's just never near that heavy. And when he finally takes it, psygib's all over it. I think there's a reason we haven't seen Av3k really ever try and fight for the heavy. It's the two of them. He's taken 2 heavies to 12 of psygib's.
He isn't faring much better when it comes to megas, though. 3 megas for Av3k, 11 for psygib, so it's definitely the American player who's keeping close control over the major items this map.
It clearly hasn't been Av3k's game plan too, right? Where Av3k, his game has been, if I try and assert myself on these items, I'm either going to waste my ghost walk trying to get out, and then I've got nothing afterwards, or I'm just going to die at the item, you're going to take it and then refrag me. So, like, the idea of playing this really elusive game, which, again, is able to do so. psygib goes down. The rail is an option. He has to be very careful here. Oh, forced his hand.
I mean, Av3k's game plan so far is really all about... Okay. Gotta hold to call that one out. Beautiful shot from psygib. But Av3k's game plan has really been just setting up outside of one of the major items, knowing that he's got a choke point on lockdown, and then waiting for psygib to make the first move and basically counterpunch. That's what he's doing. He's counterpunching his opponent to great effect. And then when he finally gets an opportunity, he steals away a major and gets himself a frag. But psygib starting to counter that himself beautifully, so even to the point of finally getting the lead with just 1 minute left on the clock. And now the pressure is on Av3k. No longer can he just wait and play a patient game. He needs frags and he needs them soon.
That frag near heavy was absolutely the critical point. The fact that Av3k, he sticks around because he does not want to concede that heavy, not when there's just over a minute left on the clock. Unfortunately, not even able to steal it away. And now psygib, so much stack. The ghost walk is used, but is this even going to mean anything? psygib, is he making chase? No, he's just holding out. He wants the heavy, setting up for what could easily be the map win in these closing seconds.
Oh, nice. The rail finally on point for psygib. Almost every time that Av3k shows his face, he eats the rail. And that is giving psygib the breathing room he needs. And the shotgun is going to finish it off. 20 seconds left. Av3k needs a miracle, a frag in the next few seconds. But I don't think he'll be able to do so. Now it is psygib switching on the defensive, just waiting out his opponent, knowing that he is secured. The second map, it is a tied game, and we're going into the final map of this series, the decider, the tiebreaker of Av3k versus psygib.
Av3k from the get-go, I mean, you could see the game plan play out from the entirety of the map, but there is a real, what seems to be difficulty when you're in this kind of game, and the second psygib starts to hit the shots and he starts getting the damage in return, where it felt like it just didn't matter how much damage Av3k was doing because he would always be outstacked. And the nature of light versus heavy of this caliber, there were so many encounters where it's like, what more can Av3k do? It was a tricky fight for him, for sure.
A lot of people in chat happy with their big payouts. The odds were definitely stacked against psygib, 1-15 in Av3k's favor, so I think a lot of people are going to be celebrating tonight as psygib ties it up 1-1. We are setting up for the final one in this series, which is, if I'm not mistaken, going to be Awoken, Doomslayer by Av3k versus Ranger by psygib.
Looking at a lot of these different replays, I think there's only so many ways I think you can talk about. Look at all these different highlight reel moments where psygib, the armor alone was through the roof, and it's amazing that Av3k was able to do the damage that he did, given the fact that when these fights happened, like, he was never in favor. And even though he hit some of those rails, the second psygib started to return them, those ghost walks that were being used to evade and slip away and almost kind of reset the situation were then being used to delay the inevitable, to escape. And then here comes a psygib anyway, full speed ahead. You get taken out, ghost walk hasn't accomplished much. You're going to spawn and have no armor. It's always, there's a reason I think a lot of people in chat and everything else, when you see a light versus a heavy, that people go, ooh, I hope that goes okay.
And indeed, we saw that happen once more on the previous map, but now all sights are set on the decider once more. It is Awoken, Av3k playing the Doomslayer versus psygib on the Ranger. Very meta picks, about as classic as standard as you can get. Doomslayer, extremely powerful around the center area of the map. He's got the double jump, so much mobility, rocket to center. He can go from mega to center. He can make his way around railgun so easily as well. But then on the other hand, you've got a Ranger, right? So many neat little angles. Sent the orb through the teleporter, sent the orb to that little hole next to heavy, straight onto mega. So much mobility as well. So this is really two different times of speed, two different times of mobility clashing off on the final map in this series.
Well, we're loading into the next map, it seems. We'll be jumping in real soon. But this kind of map now, it's hard to call because Av3k, he played the first set of Molten Falls so well, to me. Like, the first, I think, about 3 minutes or so, where you looked at that and you know he's going to have a plan, and that plan was to just have that kind of almost rail brick wall and eventually kind of force you through this choke point. I do believe we've gone back to the lobby, though. We might have had to go for a... Yeah. We had to go for a restart. I think the wrong server was selected. I was like, wait, have we gone back? Yeah, we've gone back. But I still think the 2-1 to Av3k is the safe prediction. I think now we're going back into medium versus medium. Av3k is going to be able to just play that nice kind of deny game and the center point of the map. psygib, definitely known for having a pretty brave and aggressive Ranger. And if that map did anything to almost kind of reignite some kind of fire in psygib, I'd like to see this next level reached, because when psygib is on his A game, it can be very hard to out-combat him, even in the hands of Av3k. So we'll see how this final map goes.
I mean, psygib has always been one of the foremost brawlers in the Quake Pro League, right? Getting up close to the orb, then knowing that Ranger takes less self-damage of the rockets, just pummeling you point-blank range with those devastating rockets, that just really right up his alley, fits his game plan perfectly. So Av3k, he has to be aware of that and play around that sudden burst of aggression. Also interesting to see how Av3k is going to approach his active ability, right? If he doesn't use Berserk at all, then he's leaving up so many of the hourglasses for his opponent to pretty much have that orb ready to go at any given time. But on the other hand, if he uses the Berserk, you're so vulnerable when you're in that mode. You're stuck, unable to use your weapons, so that's a clear risk and a downside too.
And if memory serves, I'm pretty sure that I remember Av3k being one of the first players that started to use Berserk a little bit more. I think it was even on Awoken, actually, where we were starting to kind of see those opportune moments to just pop it just as the best tool for the job. Ooh. That would have been one way.
The same idea.
10-second ring out, boys. That would have been great. Well, for Av3k, not psygib.
I think we both just audibly gasped for a second right there when that happened.
We've seen that rail many times before.
Av3k making his way over to the LG. It's the last weapon he still needed. Similarly, psygib making his way onto the railgun. Still doesn't have it though. Still doesn't have it. He's just waiting right on top of heavy. Picks it up now and bounces right back up. Av3k taken a little bit by surprise. Doesn't immediately know where his opponent is at. That was a valuable opportunity to do damage, but at least psygib still doesn't have the railgun. Although I don't think that Av3k knows this. I think Av3k is assuming that his opponent does have it.
Trying to play the game of denial so far. At the very least, was able to get himself a little bit more rockets. There's been a strange exchange so far. Av3k must be thinking, oh, yeah, hey, bro, you going to do something? Misses the opening rail, and that, above all else, on top of psygib able to take that mega, which was always going to happen, able to get a rail unscathed. So now we can start to play the true game. Av3k, 2 rockets left in the tank, though, so he's got to be careful with that. Only 1 more now. We should be able to sort that real quick, but a very slow-paced minute and a half lead. Neither player wants to overextend just yet, but hitting 100 damage rocket, that is definitely one way. But the fake out from psygib, I like how he purposefully put that orb near armor just to make Av3k so convinced he was going to take it.
Yeah. That was a good distraction indeed. Still, very reserved and measured opening to this game. Took us nearly 2 minutes for either player to get 100 points of damage dealt. Oh, psygib gets knocked right back onto the bounce pad, but he's the first to switch to rail and get the frag. Av3k should be able to do something off spawn though, gets indeed the refrag going straight away. Mega goes his way as well. Can he find another shot? Indeed he can. psygib dropping down dead. And now with 7 seconds between these items, Av3k, if he can stay alive at least, might be able to set up for a rotation next.
Those close range rails when you know you're going up against someone with a shotgun, that takes confidence in your abilities. Av3k able to do so far. Definitely does not have a grasp over where psygib was behind the pillar. We have the master of hindsight in the X-ray, but Av3k doesn't. Oh, the steal! psygib takes a rail, but I'm pretty sure he'll deem that worth it.
Yeah, Av3k was just like looking around. Is he below me? Where is he at? And then before he knows it, he hears the orb. But the moment it gets triggered, it's already too late and the item is gone. Once more, psygib finding himself in a bad spot, but this time it is Av3k who comes out on top. Nice little string of LG, and now he's got the mega behind him. He doesn't want to pick up the item just yet. He wants damage, he wants blood, and that is exactly what he gets. Rail of the spawn too. Av3k, these are some really solid plays. If psygib dives bombs onto this item, he might be in trouble. Rocket jumps out of there.
Able to be a little bit more free-flowing with your rocket jumps as Ranger, even in these dire situations. You know, the self-damage of a rocket far outweighs getting hit by a rail or something more punishing. But Av3k, he's had a pretty good start here so far. The denial, it's been the game of Av3k all the way through. It's just denial of pretty much anything that psygib can look for here. Looking at the 2 different sets. And Av3k has done a considerable amount more damage than psygib already. We're only 4 minutes in. Those rails just make it even more so. Over 1.6k.
69% railgun accuracy for Av3k. Ain't that nice. psygib not doing all that bad himself. 45. But I think the LG. 43% accuracy for Av3k versus just 18% LG for psygib. That's just not enough, especially when you're up against a Doomslayer.
Bit of a tricky exchange there for Av3k. Gets the damage he can, but didn't want to fully fire off those preemptive rockets. Thought about it, but just didn't. Now psygib pushes forward. But what does this mean? Let's go now towards the next item. Heavy gonna spawn. Av3k looking to put himself in position for it. An item that psygib would happily take, but doesn't really want to overextend for. We have no armor, and the opponent's already in position. Gets a really good amount of LG damage, but it will be Av3k significantly outstacking psygib, getting that heavy, sowing the seeds for what would have eventually become another frag. Preemptive rocket, big damage. Oh, finish it off with even more. 6-1.
Getting a little out of hand now. psygib starting to make a few mistakes, like him setting up or mega rather 5 seconds before it was up and then giving Av3k a way in. Can't afford those kinds of misplays at such a crucial stage in the tournament. Now Av3k has got a perfect cycle between the items. Mega behind him, so he knows that he can take this fight. He says, you know what, hit me a few times, I've got a Mega right behind me to fall back on. Hang on, says psygib. Perhaps a little bit of hubris right there from Av3k. Waiting a little too long with picking up the Mega, and then before you know it, the orb, the brazen balls from psygib, just absolutely lunging himself on top of it. But even then, the stacks are remarkably similar because Av3k's aim is just so on point.
This is what I mean. Something about Av3k with using the Doomslayer, the immediate use of Berserk to be, I'm in a bad situation, I'm going to get this instant kind of increase of speed and just get out of there. It's the kind of Berserk where, you know, Slayers will go an entire game without using it once. Like, granted, in Duel, it's definitely one of the weakest abilities out there. But it does serve these situational uses where it can get you out in a pinch, and I don't think we see it a lot. Teleports towards... Oh, gets the grounded rocket just in case he's sitting behind. psygib doing the safe stuff. I like it. And he still has a chance. He really does.
Absolutely, just 5 frags of a deficit. 3 minutes left to go. It is entirely possible. Especially if he can keep some control going, but that is going to be difficult. Because Av3k's still doing significantly more damage, around 600, 700 points more. But those are some excellent rails from the American player taking down Av3k. Looking for the shot of spawn as well, but can't quite connect it. Now Mega's going to be spawning shortly. And Av3k won't have much to work with outside of LG right now. But that might just be enough. Av3k absolutely fearless, undeterred by that opening damage. psygib kind of caught out with the wrong weapon out, and Av3k is going to make an example out of that and show exactly what he's capable of.
A rocket jump, that was no fake out. Av3k convinced, a free pickup, and now a scary situation for psygib. Full stack and then some for Av3k. Tries to catch the mid-air. By all means, I think that should have been more damage than it was. psygib just couldn't get things to line up, it seems. But now, this is a hard fight. Oh, and that 100 damage rocket certainly doesn't help matters, does it?
Even remotely. We've burned a minute since we pointed out that it was go time.
Safe shot.
Av3k, yeah. The fadeaway rail after the double jump. So smooth. Exactly what Av3k needed. And now psygib is hurting. 6 frags, 90 seconds. It's 15 seconds per frag. Quick maths right there. But I don't know if it's still within the realm of possibility, especially when Av3k keeps hitting like that. psygib can't even get an item. And I think that that is going to be the final nail in the coffin. Av3k supremely strong on the last map. psygib made a very valiant effort. Map 2, that comeback was a thing of beauty. But in the end, it is certainly looking like Av3k will run away with the final victory here.
Well, I'm glad to see that psygib made Av3k work so hard for it. I don't think I'm alone when I thought that this could very well be a win that Av3k kind of runs away with. You're just looking at recent form, recent results. Yes, psygib played well in his relegation match to reach this point, but Av3k's been playing well for about 3 months at least. Like, this was a match that on paper favored him massively. And I think a lot of us predicted a 2-0. So the fact that it's going to end on a 2-1, I think that's something that psygib can at least use as valuable information to know that he can continue in this tournament. Oh! Nice little bonus frag near the end. Ultimately, though, meaningless.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell that psygib is just such a gifted player, but we were talking about it a little bit earlier, right? Off stream. Maybe, hopefully, this serves as a bit of a wake-up call for him. Knowing that he's got what it takes, but he needs to continue putting in the effort. The level of play within the Pro League just improving, getting higher and better every single time. And psygib started off clearly top 3, maybe top 4 NA. But then everyone else just kind of started catching up, and it felt like he